Pioneer right in front of you. Something a little bit different from what we're used to doing. And this is my own list. I've come up with this. I've played a number of lists recently, some that are Caleb Schur's, some that are other moto grinders, and I found what I like about every list, and I've combined it into one. So I've played lists that have uh, Cedar Wayfinder and Luris. This is Luris. I 5-0'd a league with Double Dig through time and Force Satyr. With Luris, you can't play Vizier. But what I found out of this was that like I didn't actually like Luris, but I loved Force Satyrs, and like Dig was fine. But Force Satyr was the big takeaway from this list. And then I created this list as Force Satyr and for Vizier. No Digs, no Luris, but this list has been very good for me. The one thing is it's back to 24 lands, so you play 24 lands with 2 Blast Zone and a Ibnu Riverlet. So what you're not playing is the 4th copy of Yavimaya Coast, and you are playing a basic. In theory, you could cut the coast. In theory, you could cut the Sheltered Thicket for a 4th coast, or you could cut the Ibnu for the 4th coast, but I think that this is the best configuration. And Forsader is just really good for powering out fast kills with Breach. Basically, the games where you lose with this deck are the games that you don't find Lotus Field quickly. And why wouldn't you play a card that finds your Lotus Fields and feels your breaches? Like, that's exactly what you want to be doing. In the board, Void Snare over, what is it called? Nature's Claim? Not Nature's Claim. The 1-mana green that destroys 3 or less. I found that bouncing Leyline's pretty huge, and I like the Void Snare. Thought Distortion. Narset's reversals really picked up. This card is honestly like a little bit of a liability at this point. I've considered this making this a dig through time, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. Yeah, like honestly, part of me just wants to cut the Thought Distortion and the Chandra for 2 digs, so that way I can board them in against control. Maybe should I do that for this league? I don't know. Like these cards just never get used, but my board plan for control is currently taking out 4 Grazer for 2 Wretched Bomb, 2 Wilt. In theory, I could just like do 2 Ratchet Bomb and 2 Dig, and then not board in the Wilts, but that seems a little fishy. I think I'm going to leave it as is. In theory, these could also be what is it called? Mystical Dispute. And I do like Mystical Dispute. Maybe let's do that. Let's try this. Because I don't really like Thought Distortion that much. Yeah, let's try this out. Okay. 2 Angers. I end up siding these in against the fast aggro decks because you have the Hour on the board. So that way you can still use Fae of Wishes for the Hour, and then you can play your Lotus Field, untap it with Vizier, and then anger them out of nowhere. And then, like, Wilt's pretty standard. It answers Damping Sphere and tons of other things. Tormod's Crypt is mostly just for the mirror. You get it with Fae, play it, pass. It shuts them off for a turn, you untap, and you kill them. Wretched Bomb is a general catch-all. It's pretty good. And then Ugin's obviously your big bomb. But enough of that. If you have questions on the list, feel free to leave a message below. I did record a Legacy League earlier that went pretty well, which has me feeling good about recording a Pioneer League. So we're going to do this. Let's do it live. And if you're unfamiliar with me and my content, I am the owner and I don't know what my actual title is, president of theepicstorm.com. So if you want to support the content you're watching, head over to theepicstorm.com/shop and check that out. We have cool card singles for Legacy. Not a whole lot of Pioneer stuff on there. There's some Modern, but mostly Legacy cards. But we also have sweet merch. Pint glasses, playmats, shirts, storm counters, and so much more. One thing with Pioneers, I very rarely look up what our opponent is playing because I feel like people switch decks in Pioneer pretty frequently. Yorion. So we're on the draw. I don't actually hate this hand, but in order for this to be good, we're going to have to hit a second land, We're on the draw, and we have a scry land. So we actually have 3 looks at a second land, and then we have double Vizier. Like, this is actually really close. Against better judgment, I think I'm going to keep it. If we were on the play, I would definitely ship this, but because we get 3 looks at lane 2, and then we have double Satyr, makes this a lot better in my eyes. Okay. Well, lane 2 is another temple, which is a tiny bit awkward, but we're facing a Yorion deck, so hopefully it doesn't end up mattering. If it ends up being the, what is it called? Fires of Invention deck, they're actually pretty fast. But getting Swamp tells me that it might just be Inverter with Yorions. Plain Swamp Forest. Okay. So we hit our second land, but unfortunately it's a temple. Let's see if we scry this to the bottom if we would have hit an untapped. We wouldn't have, but Lotus Field is a really good scry there. So our keep is beginning to pay off. We're going to play Satyr into field next turn. Hopefully we'll find a Thespian stage. Our opponent does not have blue mana yet. And all these are going to fuel our breach. No land. That's okay. I would have preferred a stage off that, but it's not the end of the world. Glacial Fortress. We'll discard a Satyr. So in theory, we could actually go for the kill if we rip a land right here. Another Lotus Field was not the land that I was referring to. We could still go for the kill if we hit a blue land. Okay, so what we would do is we would take Botanical Sanctum, we'd play it. We would untap our field and our Sanctum. We would tap for 3 red. I think this is actually pretty good. I think we're supposed to go for this. Or is that just too greedy? Their shields are down at the moment. There's a lot of food in there for the hidden strings. I think we're supposed to go for it. Alright, so I'm going to do this. I like keeping my sideboard permanently out, because if you don't do this, it pops back in, and I don't like that. I try to always remove the non-blue cards first. So here we get to cast Pour, and we're really looking for a Fae of Wishes, because that's going to lock up the game. Another Pour wasn't awful. I like that Pour is only -1 mana, where the strategic plannings are -2. And you get to draw the cards instead of just put them to the graveyard, but that might not be the best thing with the Breach in play. Okay, so here I'm going to cast Planning. And now we'll start hidden strings again. Pretty deep into our deck, and we haven't hit a Fae, which is a tiny bit concerning. I think I actually want the Delve Fuel, so I'm going to cast it. Or the planning, that is. Alright, so we hit the Fae. This is great news. And one of the nice things about our list is there's a main deck, or I'm pretty sure, let me just verify this. There should be a main deck Oracle. Yeah, there's a main deck Oracle. So I was like 99% confident it was in there. I just wanted to make sure. So with having a main deck Oracle, you're able to win the game off of a Lotus Field and a non-Lotus Field land, where if you're not running main deck Oracle, that is not the case. It becomes like technically you can. It's just like your graveyard has to be stacked before you even start. All right, so now we're going to cast Granted. We're going to get Tome Scour, and that's the game. See if our opponent decides to make us click through, but they're actually just dead. And as I mentioned before, I always try to remove non-blues, and then once I get to blue cards, I start removing Viziers, because Viziers don't do anything. Okay, our opponent's conceded. So they're on like a 5-color deck. Probably don't need Grazers against like this slower style deck. Mystical Dispute doesn't seem bad, so we're going to board those in. And how about the Wilts? Ratchet Bomb doesn't seem terrific. I think I like this. The key to this deck is to never overboard. And there we got to win pretty quickly because we had the Satyrs. The Satyrs fueled our graveyard, which allowed us to start comboing once we did hit our Lotus Field, so that was pretty nice. And I previously mentioned our Storm tokens. We're actually down to about 20 of our original tokens. These are the original tokens. They're the full-size cardboard of Magic the Gathering cards. Moving forward, we will be doing mini tokens, so if you want full-size cards, pick these up before they're gone. There's only about 20 of these left. Head over to theepicstorm.com/shop and do that right away. Alright, so we've opened up a pretty strong hand here. I like this hand a lot. We don't have an answer for Damping Sphere, but that's fine. Triome. We don't need 2 Mystical Disputes. We're going to bottom that one. Breach was a good draw. We'd like to hit a non... We'd really like a land here, because we want to keep the stage around. We don't want to have to sack it. Temple's great. Our opponent has conceded the match. I'll take it, I guess. That puts us up to 1-0. I'm going to update our record. Nice thing about Pioneers, the leaks tend to fire off pretty quickly. Or the matches, I should say. Jeterman. I have no clue who any of these people are. I did see our good friend Caleb up here, though. 3 trophies. Good for Caleb. Lotus. So if I had to guess, we're probably facing Burn. Our hand's really slow and doesn't have a field. We're going to ship this. They could also be on the, I forget what it's called. The artifact deck. It's Poor versus Satyr. Alright. It was close, but I think I like the Poor slightly more in case we actually do hit our lands. We're able to play a payoff spell. Okay, I like that. Scrying was a terrific draw there. Oh, so they're just playing the enchantment deck. I'm going to play Satyr here because I'd like to find a land that isn't stage to sack. And Temple's perfect. Allows us to get a nice scry in too. We don't want that. Let's take 5. I'd rather save this for a larger swing. Alright, we really, really want to find a hidden strings on our next turn. Because we can probably win the game if we hit hidden strings. I think I'm going to take it. Alright, if they're not going to do anything, I think I might just... Alright, so it's free here to get Blast Zone, put Blast Zone into play, and then copy. We could have, like, cycled Vizier on our Lotus Fields and untapped a bunch, but I just don't think there's a need to do that. We are dead if our opponent has some way of giving protection, and I'm not going to bother attacking with Satyr. That's pointless. So if they have a way of pumping their creature twice and pro-green, we're dead. So, like, I think it's called, like, something Hoplite. It's a 1-mana creature that you can sack in and give protection from a color. This deck isn't even on the front page of Goldfish anymore. I was going to look up the name of the card. Orzhov auras. It is called not Hoplite. This creature. So we would be dead to that plus 2 pumps. And there it is. So I knew what the risk that we were taking, but we were pretty unlikely to kill our opponent last turn from the situation we were in, with them having 4 untap mana to exile as well. So I think we made the right choice. We just did not get rewarded. But now we can board in Wilts and then Ratchet Bombs. And I like taking out the Grazers. Maybe I'll leave in the Grazers. Shave on a couple Satyrs here. Let's try this. Oop, did not mean to do that. Our opponent was likely very dead if we got to untap there, but they just happen to have the pro-green plus all of the pump spells. It happens. And if you're enjoying our content, make sure to follow all of our social channels. Alright, we're on the play. This seems fine. Grazer's perfect. What that allows us to do is we're able to play a Temple next turn, scry, Grazer, put Lotus Field into play. And there's the favorite Hoplite. Don't need a Yavimaya Coast. I think I'm actually okay with this Thoughtseize. They're going to discard the Fae, but we're not really in a position to win yet anyway. And we're taking 3. Hidden Strings was pretty good. I don't expect to kill our opponent this turn, but I do like the fact that we can start chaining these pores to fix our hand. And Triple Breach. Wow. I don't know if I want to go for it. Okay, we're going to go for it, but we have a backup breach in our hand, so I think I'm actually more okay with this. Maybe I should have counted some cards on a graveyard first. That might have been a mistake. So if I Cipher onto our Grazer, and then... Oh no, Ciphers deal damage. Grazer doesn't deal damage. Yeah, I think going for it this turn was actually an error. We don't have enough food. Not going to take any of those, so that way we have more stuff to delve. Or whatever it's called, escape. Don't need the breach. Pour. We can exile a Fae. Maybe I'm just punting here. I think I might have gone too deep. So if we hidden strings... I think we're just supposed to planning and pass, because if we strings again, we exile these 3 cards. We'll have 4 mana, and we still can't do anything. So I'm just going to planning. Try to fix our hand for next turn. Yeah, it was probably a mistake to go for it right there. To actually, like, cast the breach and then everything. Is there a reason I can't block this? That was really weird. Why wouldn't it let me block it? I don't know. Maybe I'm just out of it and not seeing something. I'm just gonna copy this and pass. We don't have a whole lot of fuel in our graveyard, and I don't want to burn up what we still have. Maybe I'll be able to block properly on this upcoming turn. Because, like, I don't actually care about this. We can answer that. Sure. That is not going to stop me from winning. Alright, and I successfully figured out how to block this turn. So another cool trick we can do here, well, another field was nice, is we can sack these 2 lands to a new field for more cards to escape. And now our opponent is just ultra dead. And this will stop Thassa's Oracle, but it does not stop Jace. Keep that in mind. And we can just go get a... They're asking if Oracle's the win con. I told them that I can Jace them. Alright, so our opponent conceded. I told them that I have Jace, which is the truth. I still think I'm going to keep in these cards. These are fine. We don't really need more than these. They do have Thoughtseize, as we saw, but we don't want to take out too much. In lands with 25, or in builds with 25 lands, I do side up Ibnu Reverlit quite a bit if my opponent's not playing Inverter. But I think when you have 24 lands, you can't really afford to board one out. Alright, this is a pretty strong hand. I like this a lot. Our opponent has mulligan to 5. I was playing the Mirror online last week, and one of my opponents taught me something where you can actually use Vizier as a second copy of Thespian Stage if you just put it into play. Kind of like that. Alright, Lango is what I like to see. Sure. I guess this shuts it off, so I'm just going to take the Vizier. I think I'm just going to play out of Vizier here. If you have some sort of instant speed combat trick, he got me. Light of Hope. Sure. I wonder if we're supposed to use Blast Zone to blow up their board. They're going to put Lurrus to their hand. Yep. We're at 16. Maybe I shouldn't have blocked. Maybe that was a mistake. I actually don't have a lot to win the game with. So part of me is wondering like if this is a game where I just try to put Ugin into play. Yikes. It's a big creature. So it's going to be 12 damage. Here's a Thoughtseize. That's not good. We might be dead if it's Thoughtseize. Yep. Alright, so we need to top deck. I think I made a really big mistake the turn that I blocked. I wasn't expecting to get blown out by Light of Hope. I think we might actually be okay. So my goal is to get Blast Zone with Scrying. I think, I don't know. So if I copy here, that leaves me with 1 mana, which means I have to untap that. If I just tap this for 2 green, let's go get Blast Zone. Am I just short no matter what? Because we have to be able to untap the Blast Zone, so... We'd have 1 floating, 5 mana. Alright. I think we can do this. We might actually just be dead to this creature. So I guess in theory, what I could do is I could untap the Blast Zone in the Vizier, and then block the creature, sack Blast Zone. Okay, we found the line. That keeps us alive. Alright, our opponent has Lurrus and 2 cards in hand. Pour was a really good draw. So if I copy this, I'll have 1 floating, untap. That's only 4 mana. So the question is, can they kill me if I pass? They can play 1 thing out of their graveyard. And then we can bolt it. Problem is, if we tap here and we miss on this board, we're just flat out dead. So they're going to have 2 cards plus any card from here. I'm going to go for it, because I think that we're dead to a number of things, and we just need to get a little bit lucky. Come on, deck. I don't think Ratchet Bomb actually does us any good. And it's awkward because we can't hold open Wilt and play Grazer. I guess the bomb can kill the token. Alright, Word is probably dead. I think we might be alive if they have like 2 lands in their hand. Alright, so they're trying to draw another aura to kill us. Oh, they hit it. Yep, that'll do. So, after I die, I want to look at the top 2 to see if we could have won next turn. Wait, did they punt? Do not move to damage. I want to use this. Oh, I guess that we weren't dead. Is it better to... It's only 3, 4... I think we're supposed to leave it in play. I don't think there's a difference between being at 1 and being at 2. Alright, so we have 2 looks at winning the game. We're at 7 minutes, so we actually have to do this somewhat quickly. And that will probably do it. Wow, I can't believe we got this. I mean, I have to manually go through everything still, but... There's a Fae in there. Sorry for getting my dome super close to the camera, I'm just making sure. Alright, I can win in 6 minutes, I don't need to rush. Woot. Wow. That was a nail biter. That was indeed a good one. If you're unfamiliar with me and my content, I am on a podcast called the Eternal Glory Podcast where we discuss legacy. It is myself, Brian Cobalt, and Philip Gallagher. Make sure to check out the Eternal Glory Podcast. We actually had an episode drop today. It was not legacy focused, but there's a lot of legacy backstories in it and how we got to play Magic. So I would highly recommend checking that out. How lucky are we? That's the question when it comes to this hand. I think I'm going to be an idiot and keep this hand. Being on the draw, you get 2 looks at lane number 2, and if you hit, you're set. So I'm going to keep this. Yikes. It's a tough matchup, too. They mulligan to 6. There's lane 2. Mono Red is one of Lotus Breach's more tough matchups. That and the Winota deck are very difficult. They're both very fast. I think I'm rooting for our opponent to not have a second land, and they do. And there's the fucking Eidolon. Alright, so our game plan is now going to go be to get Blast Zone. Lotus 3 is not what we needed. We're probably not going to win this game if we're being realistic. A few weeks ago, I had a really cool win against a red player where I went to 1 life to play Breach. Ooh. And yeah, we're not winning this. I went to 1 life to play Breach, and then I played Pour the Page until I chained enough to play Granted into Hour of Devastation. It was really sweet. Is there any way that we stay alive here? So we have to go to 1 if we want to untap the Lotus field. So the only way we win this is if our opponent is sitting on a land and then draws a land. Or a creature, I suppose. It could be land creature. And that'll do. It was closer than I expected. If we get to untap there, I'm pretty sure we win. Okay, so the Ratchet Bombs are definitely coming in. I've like wavered back and forth on whether or not I like boarding in Ratchet Bomb or Wilt, because Wilt just flat out kills Eidolons, but Ratchet Bomb is generally better. Let's try this out. Whoops. It's twice now I've accidentally clicked the League Details button. Ooh. If we hit land 2 on turn 2, this is amazing, but... I'm going to be so disappointed when we lose this game, but I'll know that it was my fault. Alright, we got lucky, we hit line 2. Next turn we can play the field. So we don't even have to anger next turn, we could just blast one for 1. Well, that's a blowout. We're probably dead. Most red lists don't play Damping Sphere for what it's worth. Okay, we're dead to that. Oh, that sucked. It's a rough matchup, and our opponent is playing a card that's dedicated to beating this matchup, which is a little silly, but like people are allowed to do that. Don't get me wrong. Like I think red is probably a 70% favorite. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Ash Zealots in these lists. There's 2 so far that have had Dampening Sphere, but the majority is Ash Zealots. Okay, well, this is a new match. We're on the play. This seems fine. We're going to play Sanctum Grazer, putting in a Yavimaya Coast. This way, if we Satyr into Lotus Field on turn 2, we're sacking Coast instead of double Botanical Sanctum. Alright. This is actually a pretty close matchup. I could have played the stage there. I was just thinking about how next turn I might want 4 untap mana, but that's probably not the case. Ended up working out. And we got our Lotus field. Now all we need is a breach. So I want to take up all of our opponent's mana, so I'm going to double block here. This way they're encouraged to pump and not play anything that could disrupt us. Like a drill bit or something. So I think instead of just copying off the get-go, I'm going to hidden strings first. Because if we hit breach, I want to be able to have the option of winning. So we're probably going to lose to a Thoughtseize or a Drill Bit here. Normally a Drill Bit's in the board, I think, though. Yeah, the list that I'm looking at doesn't have any main deck Drill Bits. So they're going to draw 3 here. We need them to not hit a Thoughtseize. Damn. Come on, breach off the top rope. We're going to be dead pretty quickly here, so we need to draw something. This is 12 damage. That means we're dead next turn. Alright, so I'm going to play the Temple. This way we can get a look at what our top card is. We can't win with that, so we're pretty much just looking for Breach here. Maybe Pour the Pages. A Fae won't actually do it anymore. Better lucky than good. I mean, we played Tor outs, right? Like, we played double Scryland. We sequenced our stuff in order. Like, we got lucky, but we also put ourselves in a position where we could get lucky. I'm not even going to bother with the Pour. We just flat out have the win. Our opponent said they're always one turn behind. So it doesn't look like they have anything that's like permanent based, or at least most lists don't. I guess I could try to look up this specific player. But it's mostly just discard spells and Lost Legacy. Yeah, they don't have... It's just discard spells, so I don't think I'm going to board in anything. I'm just going to leave the deck as is. A little bit slow on the draw, but it might be fine. We have lots of action, which is good against discard spells. They don't have a 1-drop. I think I'm actually going to play out this thicket. We're going to need lands. If we get Thought Seized here and we lose our Scrying, I'm going to cast the Planning or Agonizing Remorse. Like, I just don't picture us being in a situation where I would have the opportunity to cycle this. Love Moto. Well, it would have ended up working out, but we'd be sacking our coast, so I don't know. Part of me wishes that I played a Fae, so that way we don't lose them both to Lost Legacy. Hmm. I think I just want to do this. I don't want to blow the Blast Zone yet. That's a big play for them. It's if a player. Okay, I was like, I didn't lose that much life. That happened last game, and I just wasn't sure. So we're actually in an interesting spot. We don't have any hidden strings in the graveyard. I don't know what the right play is here. Part of me thinks that I should play out the other Fae after. So if that's the case, maybe I get Tome Scour. Hope to mill like what we need in order to win with a breach. This way we're like a little bit more resilient to Thoughtseize effects. Like this just might be bad and I could be wrong. But our opponent just drew 4 cards and they probably have a handful of discard spells. That's what I'm trying to avoid losing to. And we didn't hit strings off that either. But if we do draw strings for turn, I think there's a good chance we win. So they could double pump here and we would take 10. That would put us to 6. Hidden Strings is by far our best draw. Breach would be very good off the top too. So it's the new Lost Legacy. Ooh, they chose the right card name. Good for them. I guess in theory we could still win with Pour. It's just a lot more difficult. Because Pour makes 1 mana each time. Alright, so if we get to live another turn, we're in good shape. So my current plan is to throw a creature in front of that, below Blast Zone. Rankle. Okay, I think that's fine. I think there's a good chance we win now. Every time you cast Pour with 2 fields in play, it makes a mana. So you don't actually end up needing Hidden Strings. I've won plenty of games without ever casting Hidden Strings before. We already have the Scour in the graveyard, which is nice. Maybe I should keep the Satyrs around. Those might have value. Another thing that I like about the plan that we're currently doing is that we are not making it so that our fastest Oracle can get hit by Cling to Dust, which is one of the few ways we could actually lose this. Lotus cast Pour. I don't want to Satyr unless I have to, just because I really don't want to put Oracle to the graveyard. I guess we have Tome Scour in there. I don't really need the Satyrs. I guess we have enough mana at this point where we could just granted for Jace as well. Have to make sure that we don't deck. We have 5 cards left. And have not hit the Oracle. There it is. Okay, so that should put us up to 3-1. Good deal. Let's finish this strong. Let's get a 4-1. I would like that. And since this is almost over, if you haven't already, head over to theepicstorm.com/shop while we wait for our opponent to show up. Get something cool like the Epic Storm tokens, stickers, a pint glass, whatever you want. Just theepicstorm.com/shop. Alright, the last round, we're on the draw. Unfortunately, this hand is a hand that's much better on the play. Looks like white aggro of some sort. Looks like we're dying pretty quickly here. They're going to deal 6. And then 8. Assuming that they don't have any pump in hand. So we're at 12. I wonder if I'm supposed to go get Blast Zone. The problem is they can make one of their creatures live through a Blast Zone too. I don't think I hate playing Oracle here. Trying to see if we can find a Hidden Strings. No, I don't want either of those. The Fae's just a little too clunky for what we're trying to do right now. So I can block the soldier and then try to set up a Blast Zone turn. Grazer. I would just hate to die to a pump spell, so I think I'm going to play this out. Like an Anthem effect. Alright, please don't kill me. Wow. We are dead. That hurt. try this out. We were just a turn too far behind being on the draw. This hand's a little clunky, but screw it. Alright, this hand's shaping up a little bit. So it looks like I was right to play around an Anthem. Last turn they just happened to have, or last game they just happened to have double Brave. One of those angers we boarded in would be insane right here. If we're not dead, this is pretty good. They have 9 coming in next turn, which means we're dead to another Anthem plus the effect. So we're dead to a lot, actually. Because their creature's going to get +2/+2, and they just need to cast any creature to pump the Thalu's Lieutenant. I think we lose. Alright, we're going to try to win, I guess. So if I hidden strings here, 1, 2, and then Vizier, I can't actually do anything. So I think I'm supposed to strategic planning and hope to hit. Alright, that wasn't bad. But I think we're like stuck in a loop, right? Where I like have to hit. Yeah, like this isn't going anywhere, I don't think. I think we just lose. Unless we hit the anger. I guess that blocks, but we're probably dead. We burned all of our resources. If I misplayed somewhere, please let me know. This doesn't matter. I don't even know what this does. Oh, we're just dead to that. Oh, well, we have the ratchet bomb. Maybe not. I don't think it matters because we're dead, but I guess we could, in theory, hit pour into the absolute nuts. That would keep us alive. Or an anger off the top. Well, we know that our top card is the strategic planning, so that's not even possible. We would have to play a colorless land here and then hit one of the angers. Which we did not do. Okay, so we went 3-2. I mean, it's not the worst. We had one nightmare matchup, and this matchup, I feel like we might have lost it ourselves. I don't know. But if you like the Pioneer content, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you think that I misplayed anywhere. I'm open to constructive criticism. I love this list. We didn't actually end up using the disputes. That said, I don't know if we would have ended up using Chandra or the thought distortions either. So who knows? This is Bryant Cook. Thank you for watching, and visit theepicsforum.com/shop.